Negotiating real estate is not hard. There's absolutely a formula. I'm just gonna give it away in the first 5 seconds of this video. You can negotiate a much lower price. You can negotiate to have all the furniture convey. You can negotiate basically anything if you remember to keep the rest of the offer terms clean. I'll definitely give you examples of specific things to avoid in order to create a clean offer, but in general, what a clean offer means is you need to eliminate or reduce any kind of contingency that increases the seller's risk. I have been able to negotiate really aggressively on purchase price because the rest of the offer was so clean. Because in a real estate contract, there are many other things you can negotiate aside from just a purchase price. If you want to get a really steep discount on a property, you need to eliminate contingencies such as the following. Number one, any kind of financing contingency. This is risky for the seller because if you are unable to get a loan, they're not going to be able to close. This is why cash is king in real estate because cash is cash. No one's having to approve the cash for anything. When you apply for a loan, whether it's an investment property loan, a primary residence loan, there are a lot of steps that you have to go through and approvals you have to get before you get the loan. In a lot of contracts in real estate, there's like a contingency baked into certain addendums for third-party financing that say if you can't obtain a loan, you can exit the contract and you can terminate and get your earnest money back. A seller, that is their worst nightmare. The worst thing for a seller is if a buyer either defaults or terminates on the contract. Because having to go back on the market is a really bad look. I'll always buy a property as is. I will never negotiate repairs in my initial offer because first of all, I haven't even done an inspection. Second of all, if a seller is looking at the initial offer and I'm already demanding that they repair all these kinds of things, they're gonna be like, no, I don't wanna deal with that. Instead, what I do is I submit a really clean initial offer, but I do not waive my right to an inspection. Still do a third-party inspection, and during my option period or inspection period, due diligence period, whatever your state may call it, that's when I can do my inspection, and if I find things, I can negotiate for extra funds. So I can use those funds after we close to do any sort of repairs. So much more preferable for both the seller and the buyer because now if the seller is giving funds to the buyer for the buyer to do their repairs after closing, one, the seller doesn't have to deal with repairs on their own time during escrow, and they don't have to get the property re-inspected and risk the buyer terminating because they're like, oh, you didn't do it properly. Seller has to do repairs. You don't know what kind of tradespeople they're using. You don't know if they're cutting corners or anything like that. So it's definitely in your best interest as a buyer to just take the money and do the repairs on your own time after closing with quality tradespeople that you trust, or if you want to do it yourself to save money, you can do that too. I'll never like completely waive my right to an inspection, but sometimes if the situation demands it, I will shorten the time that I'm allowed to do an inspection and negotiate anything. If you're not able to completely eliminate any kind of contingency, like your third-party financing contingency if you're getting a loan, shortening the timeline on that is also really helpful. If you like all things real estate and real estate investing, I'm your girl.